Who died? Jim Bob Duggar house fire. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The heat was unbearable, even at midnight. The Arkansas sky, usually cool and quiet at this hour, was painted red with fire. Sirens howled across the rolling countryside, disturbing the eerie calm that had settled over Tontatown. Something unimaginable had happened. Jim Bob Duggar's house was on fire. For most of the locals, the Duggars were more than just neighbors. They were celebrities, legends of large family living, known nationwide through reality TV. But fame hadn't shielded them from this tragedy. By the time the fire trucks arrived, half of the 7,000-square-foot house was gone. Flames licked at the edges of what had once been the cheerful center of a 19-child household. The air reeked of burning wood and melted memories. And amidst the chaos, a horrifying truth emerged. Someone was missing, the spark. Earlier that day, Michelle Duggar had been admitted to the local hospital with complaints of chest pain and dizziness. Jim Bob had driven her there himself. Just a precaution, he'd told the worried children before speeding off with his wife. Back at the house, the older Duggar siblings Jessa, Jana, John David and Joanna had stepped in to manage the younger ones. It was a warm summer evening, full of giggles, chores, and family dinners. No one noticed the faint smell of smoke in the air. At 10:46 p.m., the first explosion was heard. Shook the windows and sent birds flying from the treetops. Jana ran to the hallway and screamed, "Fire!" Everyone out, now into the flames, chaos erupted. Children scrambled in all directions, grabbing stuffed animals, pets, and one another. John David, a trained pilot and volunteer firefighter, dashed into action. He pulled out the fire extinguisher, tried to locate the source, but it was too late. The fire had started in the basement, and the old wiring that had never been replaced was feeding the inferno. "Do we have to get out?" he shouted. Carrying 8-year-old Josie in his arms, outside barefoot and trembling, the family gathered. One by one, they accounted for everyone until they realized someone wasn't there. Jason. 21-year-old Jason Duggar, quiet, thoughtful, and fiercely loyal, had been in the garage, working on his motorcycle. John David didn't wait. He ran back into the house, against the shouts of the fire department. The flames were blinding, the smoke thick as syrup. He screamed Jason's name until his throat burned, but there was no response. When he finally stumbled back outside, empty-handed and coughing black, he collapsed to his knees. "I couldn't find him all over." The next morning, the fire was out, but the damage was catastrophic. The house was gone, burned to the foundation. All that remained were scorched beams, warped metal, and ash. The family stood in silence, staring at what used to be their home. The familiar driveway, once a symbol of bustling life, now led to ruins, and worse, Jason was still missing. Rescue crews combed through the debris section by section. Hours passed. Then a call came: "Body found." A wave of grief crushed the family like a tidal force. Michelle, just released from the hospital, collapsed again on the scene and was immediately rushed back. Jim Bob held her hand, face pale as moonlight. He couldn't speak. Just the remains were confirmed to be Jason's. The headlines began to spread all over. Duggar tragedy as fire claims life. Michelle hospitalized again after son's death. Jim Bob's house in ashes. What caused the blaze? Secrets in the ashes. While the public mourned, investigators dug deeper. Something about the fire didn't sit right with the local fire chief. Yes, the wiring was old, but the way the fire spread, the pattern, it felt intentional. 3 days later, arson was confirmed. The fire hadn't started by accident. Someone had poured accelerant near the electrical panel. The fire had been set. Shock rippled through the Duggar family. Who would do this? Joanna whispered, but the deeper question wasn't who, it was why. A hidden life. As the investigation intensified, more revelations came. Jason's phone was recovered near the garage, mostly destroyed, but the SIM card survived. Investigators retrieved messages, voice memos, and a strange recording from just 48 hours before the fire. "If anything happens to me, check Dad's old study. There are things you need to know." The family was stunned. What was Jason talking about? In a metal safe buried in the ruins of the old study, they found it. A flash drive labeled Duggar Secrets for Truth. Inside were files. Hundreds of them. Old documents. Emails. Photos. financial statements, and a journal. Jason had been digging into the family legacy, and he discovered something terrifying. For years, there had been tensions in the Duggar world, secrets buried, controversies avoided. But Jason had uncovered proof of shady real estate deals, shell companies in other states, and the name of a person the family hadn't spoken to in years. Josh Duggar, the return of the prodigal. Josh had been exiled from the family after his scandals, forced into silence. But according to Jason's notes, he had returned to the area weeks before the fire. There were sightings, security footage, and money trails that suggested someone was funneling funds through companies that Jason believed were tied to Josh. Had Jason discovered something that got him killed? Did Josh come back for revenge or to cover his tracks? No one knew for sure, but the evidence was damning. Michelle, still recovering in the hospital, wept when she heard the full story. "He was trying to protect us," she whispered. Jason wanted to clean the family name. Jim Bob, devastated and silent for days, finally broke down. "I should have told him. I should have been honest, but honest about what?" Truth and Fire. The Duggar family held a private memorial for Jason, away from the media. Hundreds came. Fans, friends, neighbors. All mourning the quiet young man who had been more than just a name on a show. He had been the one trying to change the future, and in a final twist, the investigation turned up a grainy security clip from the night of the fire. A figure, hoodie pulled tight, leaving the garage minutes before the flames erupted. The figure matched Josh Duggar's build, but he had vanished again and no arrests were made. Rising from the ashes. In the months that followed, the Duggars left Tontatown. The land where the house stood was bulldozed, seeded with grass. A plaque was placed in the soil in memory of Jason Duggar, 2003 to 2025. A seeker of truth, Michelle recovered, though her heart remained broken. Duggar news. Jed and Katie reveal they broke a shocking record, celebrate big milestone. Since the cancellation of Counting on Jedediah, Jed Duggar and his wife Katie have kept a lower profile. Duggar News followers know that they tied the knot in April 2021 after quietly dating for a year. Couple wed in a private ceremony attended by family and close friends. It was a delight for the viewers to see the Duggar sibling start his happily ever after with the woman of his dreams. Jed had announced their marriage with a heartfelt Instagram post. Everyone melted when he said Katie was the answer to his prayers. "Every moment together has been amazing," he wrote at the time in the caption. He described himself as the happiest man in the world to be her husband. 5 years later, Jed and Katie decided to share a major family milestone from their lives. What is it? Duggar News. How many kids do Jed and Katie Duggar have? Since Jed and Katie tied the knot in the year 2021, a lot has happened in their life. They were willing and eager to step into parenthood. As of 2025, the couple now has 4 children, Truett 3, Nora 2, and newborn twin girls Elsie and Emma. Couple spoke about their busy home life on the Duggar and Jeremy podcast. With 4 kids under 4, they said it's been crazy. It really takes them immense effort to hold down the fort. During the episode, Katie described the toddler and infant stage as an insanely busy season. She shared that it's all hands on deck at all times. Duggar, now a mom herself, agreed that it was insane. Well, Duggar News followers were in for a shock when the couple, while talking about their parenting roles, revealed that they ended up becoming the only family among Duggars to have achieved a major milestone. Duggar News. Jed and Katie rejoice while revealing major family milestone. In the same podcast, Duggar and Jeremy asked Jed and Katie if they plan to keep growing their family. Well, Jed said they're just praying about that. Katie added that they're currently on a sabbatical from having more children. Through all, they decided that they want to focus on enjoying the kids they already have. As mentioned above, holding down the fort for 4 toddlers is quite a task for the parents already. Still, both Jed and Katie admitted they have a future number in mind when it comes to family size. "We'd love to have 5 or 6 kids," they said. But as of now, they were taking it slow and staying present with their little ones. Well, they also talked about a major milestone Jed and Katie achieved while expanding their family. Their rapid pace of parenting has put them ahead of Jed's parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. That's because back in 1991, their 4th child wasn't born until eldest son Josh was 3. Jed and Katie, in comparison, hit 4 kids in just over 3 years. Jed and Katie celebrated 5 years of knowing each other this year. Katie said in her post that when the couple looked at it like that, they were like, wow, this has been crazy. Keep an eye on TV season and spoilers for more Duggar news. Katie and Jed Duggar admit to having kids at a crazy pace after meeting just 5 years ago. It's been a whirlwind few years for Jed Duggar and his wife Katie. After all, having 4 kids under the age of 4 would be a lot for anyone to handle. But it seems no one is more aware of just how wild that is than Jed and Katie themselves, who opened up about the crazy pace they started their family during an appearance on the Duggar and Jeremy podcast this week. They met and created a family in the space of 5 years. Jed and Katie sat down with his sister Duggar Duggar and her husband Jeremy Vuolo to record an episode of their podcast, opening up about how quickly they got married and started a family after meeting. Couple tied the knot in April 2021, welcoming son Truett in May 2022. Their daughter Nora followed a year later, and their twins, Elsie and Emma, were born in January 2025. We've known each other 5 years, Katie said on the podcast. So when we look at it like that, we're like, wow, this has been crazy. They're currently on a sabbatical from having more kids, though. Now that they're raising 4 children, Jed and Katie admitted that they're planning to pump the brakes for a bit. When Jeremy asked if they were going to keep going, Katie said they're currently on a sabbatical from having babies. We would love to just enjoy the kids we have right now for a good minute, she told him. It's an insanely busy season, the little years, especially because we have 2 infants right now. It's just all hands on deck at all times 24/7. Jed and Katie have no plans to have 19 kids like his parents did. Even though Jed and Katie are on track to outpace Jim, Bob, and Michelle, they were very clear on the podcast that they're not trying to break his parents' record. In fact, at this point, they said they're planning to have 5 or 6 kids total, which would mean they'll be winding down this part of their family journey soon, unless they change their minds. Of course, life has been very busy for these two. When you have twins, you're both doing the same thing at the same time, Katie said. It's not like I'll change them this time. You change them next time. No, we're both changing them at the same time because we've got 2 at once. But as chaotic as this time must be for Jed and Katie, it doesn't sound like they'd want it any other way.